Welcome back everyone to more creepy TikToks, and thanks for your feedback in relation to the collaboration with Red Pill or Blue Pill. We will be working on that podcast over the next few weeks to about a month or so. In terms of your suggestions regarding the name of the channel, a lot of you have some really good input regarding that, and if you still have some suggestions, let us know in the comments below, and let's dive in.
The most problematic person you know has launched a tinfoil clothing line that claims to protect your brain from 5G.
I have a do-rag, and you put it on, and you can choose when your Neuralink is operational.
Chat, is this real?
This $100 tinfoil hat is allegedly made with pure copper and nickel Faraday fabric and promises 100% brain coverage. Faraday fabric is a material that can block EMF and EMI as well as radiation. Thanks, Google. All controversy and weirdness aside, do we think it looks cool? How do we feel about the $400 protection dress? Would you wear the full shield armor trousers? Kinda giving Zara campaign. This one's me making memes all day. Okay, chat, what do we think of it?
100 new for a tinfoil hat. I mean, us conspiracy theorists have been wearing tinfoil hats for decades now, and it hasn't even cost us a penny.
Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, get it, get it, get it, get it.
Well, what you saw right there ought to concern you. I was doing exactly what I was told via a letter I got last night in the mail from the Department of Hydrocarbons. They said in order to stabilize oil prices, they need a bunch of oil just dumped. And not dumped on the market, just dumped on lease roads and field roads and things like that. So I'm hooked up to that oil tank, going straight into my truck to get rid of it. Well, I'm going to get fined if I don't get rid of it, they said. So that prompted me to call District Selectman Tony Deloge and ask him about this letter. He said he didn't know much about it, but he would suggest that I follow whatever it says. So here we go. You know, these are some serious times right now. Since January, oil prices have been through the roof. I'm seeing more and more farmers on TikTok saying that the government's paying them to kill their fields. Agent Orange, I saw a guy with a lawnmower mowing down beans, getting paid to do it. They're controlling food. Now they're going to control energy. I don't understand why this is going on. But I tell you what, if they control food and they control energy, what freedom do you have left? Man, isn't this something?
This guy stated that he doesn't know why they are doing what they're doing, but he answered his own question when he said about freedom being taken away, and in terms of himself, he should have refused that, or at the very least, sold the oil himself to make a profit.
Please take a step back from me. I've been walking for quite a while, and I think this guy is like following me. Sorry, like, let me sort of try and get his face on. See, like, that's him, like, see, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. And you've literally been following me for like. No, that's like I've lost all the time. Well, I've got like footage of you like filming me the whole time.
I want to see the footage. Why have you got footage of me for? I've been giving you permission to film.
Like why? Like you're still following me now. Can you please take a step back from me?
Oh, what did you do?
He's followed me home, and I really didn't feel. Like, obviously I didn't feel safe like going into my house. I don't want him to know that's where I live, so I'm gonna we've got like 2 entrances, so I'm gonna like pop in the go around the back so that he doesn't know where I live.
I think in those circumstances, and if you can, video call someone, have that person record you, and just keep track of that person behind you. Approach someone's house or approach someone to try and get that person away from you, or go to like a police station. But I do think women in general should be learning defensive arts, like something like Taekwondo.
Hindi tayo napapansin. Halika. Ano yan? Wag mo na. Yan muna natin, oh. I-actua natin. Hindi na harap. Ano yun? Parang ano yung cellphone mo? Nag-aalan. Kasi pag-sturo po ko yung cellphone mo. Mga idol. Hindi natin makapatayan. I-ano natin sa tempo. Ano natin sa tempo.
I'm not too sure what the heck I'm looking at and what this is, but whatever they think they're reading definitely looks real.
The government wants to buy my water and then rent it back to me.
I got a letter from the Regional Water District about a new government plan where they'll actually buy our water rights from us now and then rent the water back to us over a long term. And I'm a small farmer, and they offered me $80,000 for my little bit of water, and then they'd rent it back to me each year for $1,000 on a 10-year contract. That sounds pretty tempting, but so I guess the plan is you sell them your water and then you get it back with a small rent payment. I've got a couple concerns with that. One is what happens after 10 years. Do they increase the rate a ton? And two, why do they want my water so bad? And also, I'm concerned that if I do steal water after I sell them my water rights, would I get in more trouble from stealing from the government?
Why would you want to risk your free resource that you have for the rest of your life for measly 80 grand that you probably have to pay a tax on, and then to later rent back $1,000 annually for 10 years just to be fisted at the very end of that contract? It just doesn't make sense.
Authorities in New Zealand are scrambling right now after an anti-poverty charity unknowingly gave out sweets laced with meth in people's food boxes. I mean, just for perspective, a common dose of meth is around 10 to 25 micrograms. These sweets had 3 grams. That's over 300 doses in one sweet. They believe hundreds of people may have been given these sweets after they started receiving calls that they tasted weird and made them feel funny. Even the charity's staff accidentally tasted them after a woman complained that they had a powerful tang. So far, 8 families have confirmed to have tasted the meth sweets, including 2 children who had to go to hospital and a senior citizen. The police are desperately trying to make the public aware of these sweets and the danger they present. So if you're in New Zealand or know anyone there, do not let them know that these are worth $1,000 per sweet, but do let them know that it's dangerous and they should watch the hell out.
Hey everyone, if I can just get your attention for a few minutes, we have Dave here who is going to be volunteering for us today. He has been cleaning up meth for the past 3 years, and I would like you all to give him a really big welcome.
Congratulations, Dave, for being 3 years sober from meth. Here, try this sweet.
So there's several videos going viral right now of what's supposed to be green lasers descending from the sky.
People's homes scanning the ground with that green laser.
People started paying attention after this particular video went viral. In this video you can see a plane flashing a green laser and kind of scanning the ground. This made a lot of people start questioning what the heck was going on. Where were these green lasers coming from? And then just a couple of months later, a CCTV camera captured what looks like several green laser beams of light descending from space. Needless to say, this got a lot of attention, and experts and researchers were saying that this probably came from a Chinese satellite, but no one knows.
What the f*** is that?
Now this is where things take a really strange turn. Just a couple of months after, there were several videos popping up all over the internet of what's supposed to be these green laser beams descending from the sky.
What in the ever-living fuck is that?
This got so much attention that it ended up on the news, and they actually found out that some of the planes scanning the ground with these green lasers were owned by a company named Randigo, but still, no one knew why they were doing this.
I was just getting home and I saw it going back and forth with a laser beam, and it scanned over me multiple times. I've never had flight radar until this happened, because I'm like, what the heck is going on? But it shows that what kind of plane it was and what type of plane. I don't know who owns it, and it just says private owner.
When you put the information Casey provided into the FAA website, it comes back with this information saying it's registered to Randigo.
Little by little, people started researching about Randigo, and they found out several patterns. In one of them, you can see several pictures coming from flight radar of the plane's paths. Whatever they're doing, it's as if they're scanning something, maybe weather patterns, maybe something else. In another Reddit post, someone found out that the company owns 33 planes and 33 employees, and I don't know why, but this raised a lot of red flags.
This dude was gonna crash into the house. Wait till you see the laser coming off the bottom of it. Check the radar map, he's 1,200 feet off the ground. You see that green laser coming off the bottom?
And then another Reddit user posted something like this. This plane flew over me this evening and was spraying something. Smell was awful. So I did a quick research just to double check if this plane was owned by Randigo, and guess what? It is. Strange, isn't it? What the heck is going on? It seems no one knows, but I want to know your take. What are these green lasers descending from space and from planes? What's going on?
Initially, I was thinking that maybe it was some form of geological mapping, but then the areas that they were flying around seemed very small. And then when that guy was stating that they were spraying stuff from the skies, and especially if it was at night time, just seems very, very sus. I hope you're enjoying the compilation so far, and guys, the more likes I get for this video, the more the algorithm pushes the video out, so go ahead and smash that like button.
I want to thank you.
Imagine being locked in a psych facility because you think the FBI is after you. And everyone thinks you're crazy, but it turns out you're actually telling the truth. This is one of the most bizarre psych stories that I've lived to experience, where a woman came into our ward with delusions of grandeur, allegedly, after believing the FBI was after her and using multiple tactics in order to capture her. Now in psych, we are not strangers to people coming in with all types of claims that the higher ups or the powers that be are after them. Matter of fact, the most common ones are the FBI, the CIA, the police, the government, the Secret Service, aliens, angels, demons, like all of these things. So as you can imagine, when I'm doing her intake assessment, I'm listening to what she's saying and all of the events that led up to her being here. And it sounds like a thought salad, but here's how I get down. I don't prejudge people. I let them talk about what their experience is as it is, without like the faces of or like doubtful responses. Now, I don't confirm the things in which they're saying. I just allow the space for them to speak it comfortably. Because a lot of times, if you listen, you can catch patterns and maybe be able to circle around an event where the trauma has started and initiated this way of thinking, or where the central location is. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes. Just a little background on this woman. She ended up getting arrested because she lifted up a shotgun and shot it across the street into her neighbor's front door. It was a married couple who was not home, thank goodness, but she claimed that they were spies and that she would catch them spying on her and believe that they were after her. A very scary thing to think about because you can't choose your neighbors. This woman is disheveled, bug-eyed. You can clearly tell she has not been getting any sleep, which is a huge contributor to psychosis. She was very dehydrated, spit forming in the corners of her mouth, but she said she was relieved to be in the facility and maybe it will give her more time. That's what she kept referencing. Maybe I will get more time. But she was adamant about the fact that the FBI was after her. So I'm writing these things down. I'm going and sharing it with staff, and they're like, wow, ain't like it ain't nothing we ain't heard before, but that shotgun, that's crazy. She's with us for a few days, and then one day, the unthinkable, the unimaginable happens. We were a locked facility that was located on a separate floor than all the units, so you had to get through 2 doors before you get onto the psych ward. 2 men in suits and sunglasses, I kid you not, y'all, come up to the door, ring the bell. The nurses looking at each other, we looking at each other like, who could this be? Is this like religious services coming up to pray for patients, or is there somebody that got visiting days wrong or visiting times wrong? Because it definitely wasn't visiting hours. We're all looking at the camera in bewilderment, and then the charge nurse goes out to greet the men at the door. All right, and so we're watching her talk to them, which feels like maybe, I don't know, maybe a minute and a half. And then she brings them in onto the unit. I'm like, oh, maybe these are the bigwigs, some CEOs that have come to do a random inspection of our hospital and, you know, how things are going. But as the charge nurse comes back to the nurses station, she's telling us that we need to pull the patient's chart that, you know, we had for a few days, the one with delusions of grandeur about the FBI being after her, right? And we need to wipe her stuff from the system. What? So we're like, what are you talking about? She said, I can't answer any of that right now. Please, guys, just follow this. And so we're all looking at each other like, what in the world? So we pull the chart, and she goes to the room to grab the patient. She packs up her belongings, which wasn't much, and then she says, hey, you have to go. At this point, it's like the lady understands what's going on, and she has this catatonic look on her face. She looks defeated, and she's just like, I told you guys, I told you. And these 2 men escort her off of the unit with her chart. And to add even more context, the charge nurse didn't just do this under her own volition, because this could be anybody. You got to protect patients. I'm sure y'all got 1,000 questions, just as I did. She called the doctor, the psychiatrist, the social, like everybody was in on this, and these guys showed their badge. And where were they from? The FBI. Never in my days have I seen anything like this, and we were all spooked and freaked out, but we weren't allowed to know anything about what they were doing with her, why they were taking her in, and after bringing in everybody that is anybody in the hospital that could have something to say about this, all they could recognize is that these men had clearance to do exactly what they came to do. We weren't allowed to know what business they had with this woman. We weren't allowed to know the connection and anything like that. The best thing that we could leave with was that maybe it had something to do with her shooting that shotgun into her neighbor's door. But usually that will be a police matter, and the police brought her to the psych ward. I don't know, y'all. I've never had a situation like that ever happen to me in all my years that I worked in psych. What would you do in this situation? And how would that change the outlook on patient delusions that are reported to you? Would you give pause? Or would there be any pause to give? Because if you knew that it was true, could you do anything about it? Is there anything that could have been done? What do y'all think? Let me know. This is a crazy one.
I think if you were a nurse and you experienced that on your shift, you definitely would look at the patients a little bit more differently, I reckon. But in terms of that girl, I'm not going to lie, whenever he mentioned about her firing a shotgun at her neighbours, frothing at the mouth and eyes wide open because of lack of sleep, I did originally think that maybe it was like a schizo or psychosis episode, but yeah, turns out it wasn't.
There is, however, one subset of T cells that tumors are very happy to have, and that's the regulatory T cells. So unlike the conventional T cells, they're usually not designed to kill. They inhibit specific immune responses, and solid tumors are really enriched in these cells. So what I have found is that if I take a page from the CAR T cell book and put a CAR targeting a tumor antigen on the Treg, this CAR Treg actually kills the tumor cell. And compared with a naturally activated Treg, it makes a lot more inflammatory cytokines, including interferon gamma and TNF-alpha and others. And so what we're finding then is that something about the way the CAR signals in a Treg makes it become less suppressive, less inhibitory, and more pro-inflammatory and cytotoxic. So our hope is that because Tregs are this ability to infiltrate solid tumors, if you can put a CAR in them that targets solid tumors, actually infiltrate and destroy the solid tumor. And in addition, it's been shown as the inflammatory cytokines further reprogram, destabilize the suppressive immunomicroenvironment of the solid tumor. So the idea here is to have this Trojan horse, this CAR Treg, that will traffic to solid tumors and kill the cells when it's there and help recruit more inflammatory immune cells that are there. And so right now we have a lot of data in vitro on what these CAR Tregs look like after activation, what their chemokine expression level is like, chemokine receptors as well. We're currently doing immunocompetent mouse models to test how powerful these CAR Tregs are in solid tumors. Come by my poster on Sunday.
I'm not too sure how true all of this is and whether or not he was on the plane, so I'll let you guys do your own research in that regard, but apparently he did discover a way to program regulatory T cells to attack tumours, and it showed 90% remission in the lab. So again, I'll let you guys do your own research in that regard.
The Denver International Airport has to be one of the most mysterious and well-known locations that involves a ton of conspiracies, and it's almost like the creators are rubbing it in our faces. This guy went there a few days ago to catch a flight. He was looking for his flight terminal, but he ended up in an area that seemed more like the back rooms. There was nobody back there. Things seemed more like props. I tagged his account down below in case you want to watch his videos. After walking around for some time, he ends up finding another flight terminal, but it was more of like a dead end. Like there was nothing back there. Keep in mind that outside of this airport is the statue who is known as Blucifer. People think that he is a node to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and he even has a pretty sacrificial sounding past. Lucifer was being built by this man named Luis. When Luis was putting Blucifer together, a section of Blucifer fell off and took Luis's life. Luis's family had to complete the task. Many people are also caught off guard by all of the symbolism that's around the airport. When you go to pick up your luggage, this is one of the gargoyle statues that is there to greet you. There's actually 2 of them. And this is what I mean by how they're throwing it on our faces, because it's right there for us to see. There's reptilian references. There's also a ton of murals. I mean a ton of them. You could run a quick Google search and find so many, and they all seem very dark. They all seem very violent, and children are often referenced. I mean, the art kind of speaks for itself. There's mentionings of a ton of war and destruction. Even this painting, it went viral during the pandemic. The submission date says that it was in 1995. They ended up saying that was just an error, because how would they know about COVID? There's also a ton of UFO sightings in the area, and a lot of people feel that it is connected to the airport. There's also speculation about the tunnels that are underneath the airport. There are tunnels, and NORAD is in the area, but they're said to just be passing luggage through the tunnels and nothing more. And I mean, they know exactly what they're doing because of how they reference certain things. They're even using the tinfoil hat to kind of mock people. Why would any airport need to reference so many conspiracy theories or use a bunch of symbolism that way?
I know nowadays Denver Airport likes to play along with conspiracy theories because there's that many linked with them. But when you have all of those murals and you've got that Masonic plaque as well as the statue, the Blue Horse by Lucifer, as well as those empty corridors, 5 levels of, I mean, you can't help but theorize.
We are bored. We're all bored now. But has it ever occurred to you, Wally, that the process that creates this boredom that we see in the world now may very well be a self-perpetuating, unconscious form of brainwashing created by a world totalitarian government based on money, and that all of this is much more dangerous than one thinks? And it's not just a question of individual survival, Wally, but that somebody who's bored is asleep, and somebody who's asleep will not say no? See, I keep meeting these people. I mean, just a few days ago, I met this man whom I greatly admire. He's a Swedish physicist, Gustav Bjornstrand, and he told me that he no longer watches television, he doesn't read newspapers, and he doesn't read magazines. He's completely cut them out of his life because he really does feel that we're living in some kind of Orwellian nightmare now, and that everything that you hear now contributes to turning you into a robot. Come on.
Somebody who is asleep cannot say no, and that's so relevant today. And the truth is, we do live in this big prison, but we are so preoccupied with life, you know, with work, with family, with, you know, politics, technology, etc., that we just can't see the walls that we are living in. And we are sold this illusion that, you know, we have free will, that we have free choice to choose A, B, or even C at times. But the truth is we don't, and we never have.
Y'all know how the Simpsons be telling us. Look at that shit, the exact same. Now I want y'all to know something. Is this just them telling the future, or is this already written? You feel me? It can go 2 ways, y'all. They literally been telling us since way back when, bro. Look at this shit. Y'all remember that, John? I want y'all to ask yourself that question. Is it just propaganda, or are they just telling us the script, cousin? Wake up!
That map just looked way too accurate. I mean, at this point, is it even prediction, or is it just repeated simulation?
Laura, this is a clear act of political retaliation. There's no other way to put it. You laid out the sequence of events the very next day after my conversation with you on the air, warning the American people about how dangerous a Kamala Harris presidency would be. I was placed on this domestic terror watch list, which is called the Quiet Skies list under the Department of Homeland Security. The clear pain and real visceral hurt that comes from this is, as you mentioned, like many Americans, I enlisted because of the terrorist attacks on 9/11 to go after the Islamist terrorists who attacked us on that day, and to now have my own government now turn around and put me on a domestic terror watch list. It hits to the core and is the ultimate sense of betrayal. But we look at why they are doing this. It has a chilling effect. it sends a warning both to me and to anyone else who even thinks about daring to criticize our own government, which is a guaranteed protected right under the First Amendment. Yeah. That we will be subject to a violation of our Fourth Amendment right to privacy through this kind of surveillance.
How did we get to a point in time where 20 plus years ago, if you wore a bomber jacket, you were considered a terrorist, but nowadays, if you're born and raised in your own country, your average Joe, you're now the terrorist? I mean, the fact that the ones in power deem you as an enemy when you've done nothing wrong whatsoever tells you the kind of control that you were under.
This device will protect your house. Made in South Africa, it's a special kind of gun that doesn't hurt people badly. Instead, it shoots a soft 17mm bullet like the ones police use to stop riots. You can control it using your cell phone or a special security room. This way, you can stop intruders from getting into your home without hurting them too much. Now you know.
I know what you're thinking, and yes, I do agree.
Just in, police officers in Lancaster, Pennsylvania were asking people to be on the lookout for a man who robbed a store. And I think we do have his description. Can we take that? Let's take his description. Okay, this is the guy they wanted people in Pennsylvania to be out on the lookout for. He's got a nose and some hair that goes like that, and he was wearing a hat at the time of this particular crime. He's got kind of a chin that comes down to almost a point. Stands about 5 feet 4 inches tall. There it is. Get a good look for yourself. Oh, and now I'm getting word that police actually caught this guy, thanks to the sketch, no doubt. So here's a picture of the real guy next to the sketch that led to his arrest.
Where's the pointy chin?
It's uncanny, Lisa. The guy on the left is now charged with 2 counts of theft, is being held in the Lancaster jail. And I say give that sketch artist a raise.
This wouldn't be so funny, except it's a real sketch.
That was actually the sketch that the police sent out to the good folks in Lancaster. And, hey, to their credit,
they got him.
They came through. Okay. Minus the hat.
Venimos motivados. Jab out there and then. Carolina's eyes closed.
Thanks guys for chilling out with me to the very end, and if you haven't already, smash that like button and subscribe button because it will really push this video out to the algorithm. And until the next video, look after yourselves, stay safe and stay healthy, and I'll see you then.